There are few phrases in this world that trigger my brain like Metal Gear Solid Remake and Silent Hill Revival do. And I seriously doubt I'm alone on that. Every time either of these phrases are mentioned, even in the most passing of ways, it spawns a massive, self-perpetuating chain reaction of articles and opinion pieces, much like this one, that examine whatever little morsel of news spurred it on from every possible direction. And that's not entirely without merit, as Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid are a couple of the greatest gaming franchises of all time. Why wouldn't masses and masses of gamers be interested in new developments for those games? As a result, every single morsel of information that has surfaced about the possibility of these two franchises making any sort of comeback has been understandably scrutinized. This is a good thing, as the only thing worse than not getting a fitting revival of either franchise is spending a lot of time under the false belief that we are. So let's take a close look at the current state of the rumor mill with these games. The first rumor we'll dive into is the claim that Bluepoint Games is currently hard at work on a remake of Metal Gear Solid. On its face, this doesn't seem to be outside of the realm of possibility at all, as Bluepoint has been at the helm of many great remakes and remasters. In fact, I think it's safe to say they're basically the gold standard of that sort of thing. The Shadow of the Colossus and Demon's Souls remasters were excellent titles, and it would make sense that they go for something even bigger and more meaningful next, which something like Metal Gear Solid would certainly be. This rumor comes from a source that has gotten things right in the past, but the correct prediction that everybody is pointing to as a source of the leaker's credibility is the sequel to 2018's God of War, which isn't exactly the spiciest prediction I've ever heard. Everybody pretty much knew that we would get another God of War, especially considering what a hit 2018's entry into that franchise was. The fact that it was announced was a surprise to nobody. The thing that gives the Metal Gear Solid Remake rumor real credibility is the fact that it's coming from many different sources, not just one guy or gal. It also seems to be a reasonable path for Konami to take with the franchise at this point anyway, rumors completely aside. With Hideo Kojima out of the picture at Konami, making new Metal Gear Solid games is a tough nut to crack, and with remakes and remasters being as hot as they are right now as a way for publishers with beloved IPs to cash in on nostalgia, the idea of a remake of Metal Gear Solid is not exactly a far-fetched one. It actually makes a lot of sense. The prominent rumor in question today also states that this remake has been in the oven for several years, and features controls from Metal Gear Solid 5. These again are things that make absolute sense, as the controls of Metal Gear Solid 5 were probably the best part of the game, and with how successful Bluepoint Games has become, it would make sense that they would have something cooking on the back burner while wrapping up Demon's Souls for the PS5 launch. If they have shifted their primary focus over to Metal Gear Solid, at this point, they probably have something else getting started in the background of that. But again, the most eye-catching part of it all is that the source saying these things is not alone. And there are other reasons to think a Metal Gear Solid remake is on the way. Let's not forget the infamous tweet from 2019's October from Bluepoint Games themselves that seemed to reference multiple beloved games that are ripe for a revival, reading, quote, "A symphony of rumors, not one but two, return from shadow, a resistance to dart home as black monsters escaped twisted hills, to wander lands and siphon souls, filter your candy collections, soft from solid, and be eco-friendly. Out of all the cryptic tweets that developers have made that hint at future projects, this is still probably my favorite. All at once, it seems to reference the Resistance series, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and maybe even Tenchu, unless I'm reading too much into the from the shadows part. Some of these are probably red herrings, but it does seem to indicate that Bluepoint has their finger on the pulse of gamers, at least when it comes to which games they would like to see remastered and or remade. But if that's not enough for you, there's also an odd sound players are discovering in the nexus of the Demon's Souls remaster that many are saying is a clip from either Metal Gear Solid, menu noises, or Metal Gear Rex. But as a guy who has played through Metal Gear Solid probably 100 times, I didn't recognize it myself. Some are also saying it's a reference to Elden Ring and not Metal Gear Solid at all. It could also just be a creepy sound that they decided to put in the Nexus, so take from that what you will. Regardless of any of that, I do think a Metal Gear Solid remake does make a lot of sense, for a lot of reasons, for a lot of invested parties. I'd be more surprised if we didn't get one within the next few years. Whether or not this is the next thing to come from Bluepoint is something I'm less sure of, but I wouldn't bet against it. The next tantalizing piece of gossip surrounding beloved Konami IPs is the claim that Silent Hills is getting revived and put back into production. In fact, we are on the eve of some sort of Silent Hill announcement at the Game Awards in just a few days. Like most gaming rumors, this one also started on Twitter, and like all things that start on Twitter, I'm skeptical of its legitimacy. But again, I can't help but notice that this is not the first time this rumor has surfaced, and this is not the only place it has come from. As we at GamingBolt have reported, Kojima himself has hinted at working on a horror title, and some of the folks from the fabled Team Silent, who are now at Japan Studio under Sony, are rumored to be working on the new Silent Hill game. For these two things not to be related and not to have something to do with Silent Hill seems like more of a stretch than for it to just be true. What exactly the Silent Hill project is a little bit foggier here than the Metal Gear Solid situation. Some leaks and rumors point to a remake of the first game, while some point to a new Silent Hill game entirely and more of an Until Dawn or Telltale style. While some point to the actual revival of Silent Hills specifically, the game that Kojima was working on before his infamous falling out with the publishing giant Konami. Speculation on what exactly is going on with Silent Hill has been rampant the past year, despite Konami trying to pour cold water on it at one point. More recently, Imran Khan, a long-established Game Informer writer, now kind of funny host, said that he knows the people who are rumored to be working on the new Silent Hill game are in fact working on, quote, something. The people he's referring to have worked on Gravity Rush, Siren, Last Guardian, and lots of other more recent projects in Japan Studio. The rumors for both projects are certainly piling up, and I think that is really the crux of the story here. Rumors about anything come and go from time to time, and there's nothing wrong with talking about them and letting them have their moment. But if credibility is what you're looking for, then what you really want to see are patterns. Different sources saying similar things, cryptic tweets from developers, small admissions from staff, and slips from well-connected podcasters are all things that on their own aren't necessarily worthy of intense examination, but once they all start to add up and corroborate each other, then you might have something there. The next step from here is to wait and see what happens at the Game Awards, and do our best to keep our expectations in check until then. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed and would like to see more, feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to ensure you'll be notified when new videos go up.